Man, I wish Back 4 Blood had more content, or at least let us see the roadmap so that we know what to expect in the future. Hey, you shut the hell up. Over there at Turtle Rock, they're doing great work. That video talking about both those things right now. Stay tuned. Hey, help your boy out. Turn on the notification bell. All right, guys, I was doing my thing last night. I was editing videos, I was making guides, I was making builds for you guys. And then as I was doing that, I got a beautiful notification from Reddit. I was like, what kind of cancer could this be? Who has posted a new meme onto Reddit? Oh, I was so wrong. It was actually the roadmap for Back 4 Blood. So in this roadmap, we get 3 things up and coming: November, December, and then in 2022. Then after that, for the annual pass, the paid portion of Back 4 Blood, we also get teased 3 expansions, new content. I'm about to jump into it now. Noah, do the editing thing, because Talking Noah doesn't know how. Editing Noah does. Yeah, so Talking Noah is actually a kind of a boonga brain. We're actually the same person in the same body. He's just stupid. So basically, as of this video, November's quality of life improvements and their major bug fixes is already out. I will get into that in a second. I will talk about the patch notes, because there are pretty sizable changes in there. But the more important thing, the thing everyone wants, December. December's the one. We get all new features. We get new supply lines. We get Ridden practice area. And the one that I am the most excited for, tied with the new card type, holiday seasonal event, Back 4 Blood, Turtle Rock. I am talking directly to you right now. If I don't get Christmas Ridden, I will be very angry. You give me Ridden in Christmas hats, or I will be upset. You heard me. You're hearing me now. You're looking at me. I am being serious. Christmas Ridden or Riot. Some other notable things, we're getting solo offline progression finally. Who would have thought that that wasn't in the game at the beginning? It wasn't. It will be in December, and we get a new card type. So we've got assault, or like offensive cards. We have defensive cards, and then we have like the green support cards. Who knows? Who possibly could know what the new card type is? I have no idea. If you all have any ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'm super interested. I'll be reading all the comments on it to see what everyone's opinion on all the new content is, what the patch notes are like. I want to hear everything. Anything you got to say about this or the upcoming patch notes section, I want to know. Leave them in the comments below. Thanks. Then in 2022, we get a new difficulty, which is rumored to be between veteran and recruit, which I guess is fine, because recruit for me is completely unplayable. It's not hard at all. I can solo the entire game just like with my hands tied behind my back. Doesn't matter. Veteran is a little difficult, but again, I can solo the entire veteran campaign by myself at this point. I understand how to do it. Nightmare though, ooh yeah, that'll kick your ass, including mine. So if they put a difficulty between, it's supposed to be not as hard as veteran, not as easy as recruit, that'll probably be where the community sits in veteran after everyone catches on, and then Nightmare for the retards like me that just love punishment. We also get new player cards. I don't know, do they mean player cards as in like the cosmetic player cards? Are they talking about, like, say for Jim, he gets a new player card as in he can have 2 ability cards? Is that what they're talking about? If that's the case, cool. If it's new cosmetic player cards, also cool, but not as cool. We get new corruption cards, which is badass. I mean, I can't wait to see what they come up with. We get a new co-op mode. Who knows what that could be? Maybe, perhaps it could be campaign versus. Just a thought. I have no idea. Then we get melee updates. Who knows? Like, stop being so like, tell me exactly what you mean, Back 4 Blood. I need to know. Give me the meaning. Are you making melee broken? I mean, it already is, but are you making it better? Are you making it worse? Are we dual wielding melee? We get 2? I have no idea. And then we get more quality of life improvement. Who doesn't love quality of life? It makes the game better overall. Those are the 3 up and coming. So November, December, and then I assume early, like January 2022. These are the first 3. And then we're going to pivot over here to the annual pass. This is the paid section of the game. So real quick, before we jump into it, if you guys didn't know, if you or someone in your party, like one of your friends, has either the deluxe or the ultimate edition where they had the annual pass, as long as one of you has that, no one else has to buy it. That person has to host, but if they're hosting it, you all can play the new content that costs money for freezies. So just keep that in mind. So expansion 1, Tunnels of Terror. We get a little screenshot here. I'll zoom in and post to make it full screen for the boys. But basically, it looks like there's a tree here with a bunch of corruption around it, green corruption, and it's really dark. So I'm assuming, just hear me out, we're in a parking garage, but it's one of those ones that go underground, you know, and it's been completely taken over by Ridden. Everything's dark, Ridden everywhere. We're in there to clean it out, you know, hence we're being cleaners. Oh my, I'm so excited for you have no idea. This is in 2022. I assume that this will be in February, March, sometime around there. I don't know if this is included at the bottom where we get new cleaners, new Ridden, new activity types, new weapons, new cards, and exclusive skins. I don't know if that comes in expansion 1 or not because it's on its own separate plane here. If this bottom part also also comes with expansion 1 that's going to be nuts. And then we also have expansion 2 and 3 sometime in 2022. I assume they'll be roughly 3 months apart. Like most games, there is seasonal events, there's seasonal updates. I assume that's what they're going to be following, either that or like quarterly. So we're going to have up to 4 in a year. That would be awesome, but this is all speculation at this point because no one knows. No one has any like concrete details. It's just like my opinion, my thoughts on stuff. But I am super excited for both of these things. I cannot wait for the December update. I cannot wait for expansion 1 to see what all we get. Without further ado, let's pivot on over to the patch notes for November. I'm putting this all in one video because I'm not making 2 videos because 1, I'm lazy, and 2, because it makes more sense to be in one centralized, video about knowledge. All right, boys, by my count, it's 12:08 p.m. I've been playing this update since it came out at like 3-ish p.m. my time. I was very excited for this to come out today, and after playing for a while, I am absolutely not. I don't know if you all haven't played, oh, you're on for a joyride. Let me tell you a couple things about a couple things. If you have played, you probably already know what I'm going to say. So before we get into the bad part of the update, which is a very large portion of this, let me get into the good part first. All right, so good part number 1. So this first area right here is all actual good things, and I'm also going to talk about the Trello and explain that because the Trello itself is really cool, and I think it's worth talking about by itself. So before we talk about the Trello, all the cleaners are now also unlocked immediately. Whether you have done the Devil's Return or not, if you bought the game today, you have all 8 cleaners. You would like brick your progression, and you couldn't actually do it. Even if you went online and did it the right way, you would brick your progression and couldn't do it. That bug is apparently now fixed. Everyone supposedly has all 8 characters now, which is awesome for everyone. Completing any campaign chapter also now unlocks previous chapters. So if you do the very end portion, like say you do the Blue Dog Hollow with the launcher or whatever, if you do that one and you complete it, you get all the other checkpoints to do the entire thing from the very beginning, so that you don't have to run back through if you're quick playing into things or if you're joining a friend's game or whatever. Super nice, awesome. In-game voice can now be disabled. This is really good for consoles. On PC we have push to talk, so it's not as big of a deal, but the amount of times that I have heard conversations I should not have heard between like PlayStation and Xbox, like when they're in their own party, is pretty stupid. So now that they can stop that. They added the mute icon for players that do not have a mic plugged in or have been muted either by you or someone else, I assume. The first time user experience sends them directly to Fort Hope now, which is a good thing. Just gets people acquainted with Fort Hope because you spend so much time there. Post round statistics for Swarm. Cool, but they didn't fix the main issue with Swarm, which I'll get into in a minute. Added a mute all button for the scoreboard in Swarm. Apparently that wasn't in Swarm. I play Swarm and didn't even notice that. I assume a lot of people didn't, but it's now in there. First aid cabinets now show you, they preview how much you're going to heal. That one is huge. That one's nice. It's just a nice quality of life thing. Players now recover health while inside Fort Hope. Cool for when you guys 1v1ing you and your boy. It doesn't matter though. Who cares about this? Why did you spend developer time fixing that? No one cares. And then the last thing, the last good bit of news before I absolutely torch not only my own hopes and dreams, but Turtle Rock for being completely inept and not listening to anything and changing things no one asked to be changed. But before we do that, the Trello board exists. If you haven't heard of it, basically the Trello board is the developer's way of showing you what they're working on internally. So they're explaining what's going on, why things are changing, what is to be expected, what is in the game, what didn't make it in the game, etc. Without further ado, I'm going to jump over to the Trello and explain some stuff, and then I'll come back and torch Turtle Rock's ass. All right, guys, we're in the Trello. So as you can see, there's different columns here. There's to do, active, in testing, December 2021 update, coming soon, and then released and live. So let me break this down real quick. So to do, this tab over here on the left is stuff that they are going to work on, not stuff they are working on, stuff they're going to work on. If you say, let's just go here because active is what I was going to talk about next. So active, add a player card that allows you to remove weapon attachments. This is something the community asked for. This is something they are actively working on. If you click on it, it will explain to you who added it, what the activity was, and the description. So currently there's not a lot of details here because they're still actively working on it. If we go over here to say live, fix for special spawning, which they did not, by the way. You click this, they have a description where they explain what's going on. It was added to live by Leanne. It is a high priority and a gameplay function, but not everything that makes it to live has a full explanation, which I will explain here in a minute. But the fix for special spawning is exactly what I wanted the most. This is the fix I was looking forward to the most, and it did not actually get changed. If anything, it's actually worse now. We're back. Sorry for jumping around so much, but I think the Trello board is honestly worth talking about, even if the developer developers don't fully understand what's going on in the community inside of their own game. That's another topic for another video. But we're back. We're on to campaign updates. I'm not going to go through every single change here. There's a ton of them. I'll link this and the image I talked about earlier, the roadmap image, in the description below so that you guys can look at them yourselves. But I'll go over the main point stuff that I've personally ran into and some stuff that is changed that didn't actually make it into this list. It's absolutely asinine to me. You can have a PR person, a community rep, that typed this up talking directly to developers, and they didn't even put all the things that was changed in the patch notes. How does that happen? I don't understand. I truly don't. A couple good things before I get, my watch is going to freak out and tell me, hey, you need to take a chill, man. Bots now use defibrillators more effectively. Beforehand, if they had a defibrillator, they would kind of just like tap dance on your dead body and then, you know, send you to God with their feet. Now they will actually use the defibrillator and revive you. It's great. On top of this, they have also made the pathing of bots and their reaction times to things much better in this update. So in this update, bots are actually more useful on the whole. On everything, they're better. They did a good job making the bots smarter. That's not saying much considering how much they broke of the rest of the game though. So this is the first bad thing that I'm skipping around a little bit, but this is the first one. Blue Dog Hollow, bad seeds. Destroying the nest in nightmare difficulty now spawns an endless horde. Why? What person in the community, what person internally said, yeah, we want this? Not a soul. So basically, if you don't understand, I'll put it on screen somewhere as I'm talking. But basically in this mission, you start the mission by walking out of the safe room, walking your way down a mountain path, and then you get to the barn area where there's an open barn. You can run around the house, the farmhouse, whatever. You have to break nests to basically let go a bus so that you can make that a like bridge, whatever, to get across water. There's a bunch of different nests, and now when you destroy a nest, there is an endless horde the whole time. So effectively what this is saying is if you're a speed runner, so if you have a speed running deck, nothing has changed. It's the exact same gameplay loop. It does not matter. If you were trying to do this level legitimately on Nightmare, then you are completely it will never stop spawning things. If you don't have movement speed, you will die and fail here. You have to use some form of movement speed or you're going to get yeehawed. Not a soul asked for this. It's just more artificial difficulty for no reason. The amount of people that have completed Nightmare just on Steam, completely leaving out Game Pass, Xbox, PlayStation, just on Steam is like 0.4% or 0.8% or something like that. I'll put it on screen somewhere, but it is super low. The amount of people that have actually finished it is insane. So why are you making it even harder? No one's finishing Nightmare. Another good thing that was fixed, the Armory, the Handyman. So you have to get Bob's arm in the scanning animation. This is also tied to an achievement where you get 10 kills with Bob's arm. And if you had this, the auto select new weapons turned off, which I do, so that I had to manually switch to new weapons, you couldn't get the achievement. It took me forever. I actually submitted a bug report on this, so I don't know if this bug was directly fixed because of me, but I'm going to say that it was to make myself feel better. I have no idea, but it is now fixed. Thank God. There you go. All right, and then this one is Dr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Gather research objective adjusted to account for solo players. So basically on T5, when you're collecting the research for the guide to put it in the back of the truck, if you're playing solo, I think it's like 3 or 2 or something like that instead of 6, which makes it easier for them, which is a good thing overall. But why? It's hard to do T5 solo, period. 2 of these makes it easier, but it's still hard because there's an endless horde and an ogre and a bunch of specials because they're not fixed. All right, and then we're on to the part that no one here is going to like. The majority of the community is upset by specifically this area. There's another area that I'll get to in a second, but specifically this area no one is happy about. Negative ammo capacity affects cards now instantly when it's drawn. So before, if you had 500 ammo and then you drew a negative ammo card, it wouldn't actually reduce your ammo, say, to like 300 until you got to 300, and then you couldn't fill your ammo back up to 500. Now if you're at 500 when you draw this card, it immediately knocks it down to whatever percentage it's supposed to take from you. That one's fine. I don't think anyone would have a problem with that one. Batter up. Melee damage adjusted to 40% from 50, so you're taking a 10% damage reduction. Why? Who said, dang, I wish melee was dog? It's not just this melee card. Melee specifically, as I go down this list, got focused for whatever reason. It's PvE, okay? There's no player versus player in the campaign. You don't have to balance for like AI's feelings. Why are you changing melee? What is the point? What does that solve? If your goal is to make build diversity, why don't you bring all the other builds up to the level of melee? That way everyone that plays whatever they're playing is happy. You don't take stuff away, you just give. It's PvE. How hard is that to balance? Isn't. You get stamina efficiency adjusted to 20% from 30. So again, stamina efficiency, you're using more stamina because it's less efficient. From 20 to 30, you take another 10%. Why? Breakout. One of the only good things to come from this. Decrease the use time to 3 seconds from 4 seconds. So this is a buff. It takes less time to get out of holds for free with this card. But even still, Evangelo does this for free. It's built into his character. Stun guns are only 200. Who's using this card? I assume they buffed this card to make it more useful, but at 3 seconds, it's not. Stun guns are instant. Evangelo is like less than a second or so. It's super fast. Why not make this card on par with Evangelo, and then people might actually use it? What was the point of reducing it by a second? No one is going to notice that. Face Your Fears is adjusted to 2 temp health instead of 3. So this one's not a huge one, but you do feel this as melee because basically when you're in the middle of a bunch of stuff, either specials or the horde, like a common horde, they're all on top of you. They're all focusing you. So every less bit of health that you get, you immediately can tell. You immediately can tell the difference between 2 and 3. It's not as bad as some of these other cards, as you'll see, but this... Who is complaining about melee needing a nerf? Out of everything that needs nerfing and changing, melee was at the top of the list. Fresh Bandage now instantly applies its trauma heal effect when you spawn into the safe room. I mean, this is a good thing because now it was really hit or miss, especially if you joined in the middle of a game where you wouldn't get your healing, like the bot would be damaged, you would take over the bot and then you would still be hurt. So this is good that now as soon as you spawn in, whether you or the bot, you get this healing. I mean, I guess that's good, but I don't know a lot of people that are running this, so I don't know how useful that'll be. Maybe it will be now that it's changed, but Ignore the Pain now restores health instead of providing temp health. So this is one that the community is upset about, but I actually think this is a straight buff just overall. So temp health is good to ignore trauma. So later on in the run, it's much better than like healing your health because you can't heal trauma unless you have like a med kit or the healing station, like the trauma station on the wall. Early on, health is super important because if you can heal the health that you've lost, it doesn't turn into trauma. So I think Ignore the Pain is really good. This could be something that stays, but melee in its current state is basically unusable in veteran and damn sure unusable in nightmare. You cannot use it currently. Inspiring Sacrifice, heal decreased to 20 from 25, and instead of it taking 20 seconds, it gets 15 seconds. So you're healing faster, but you're healing 5, healing less. It's not a huge deal, but again, like, why? Who's running this card? Maybe in PvP. I can understand that this being decreased in PvP, but in the campaign, who cares? Why? Why are you nerfing this in PvE? No one cares. Mean Drunk melee adjusted to 60% from 75, so you're taking 15%. Keep in mind that this card, anyone that runs this, their brain completely flat, no ridges whatsoever, not a single ridge in their brain. They're smooth as hell up there because they're giving up sprint for Mean Drunk. It is not worth it. Even before it was nerfed to hell, it was not worth it, and now it damn sure isn't worth it. Another, this is in like every melee deck. It's in my melee deck. Method, stamina efficiency is adjusted to 30% from 40%. Another 10% reduction to stamina efficiency. Why? It's PvE. Who gives a Money Grubbers, this is one that the community is absolutely pissed about. Granted, this did break the economy. With this card specifically, if you had this card and then one singular person was running Copper Scavenger, you could break the economy of the game. Now, though, you're getting a max bonus of 75, which was 100, so your 25 bonus is completely gone, and it could get up to 5. Now it's 3 per stack. So you're still getting copper from this. It's still a noticeable amount of copper, especially if you have Copper Scavenger, but why? You fixed the main bug in like money making with Take a Break, where you could like take the bot, drop the money, spawn as the bot, do it over and over and over again, and have 100,000 copper in the first level. That's gone. It's not in the game anymore. You have to physically earn this copper. Yeah, I mean, later on, you definitely can break the economy, like I said, but you got to earn it. This is a card they're giving up for it. Why? What's the hold up here? What's the deal? Spiky Bits, melee damage is adjusted to 20% from 25%. Another 5% reduction. Why are you guys going so hard on melee? That's easily far and wide the most popular build, and the amount of people that just straight up aren't going to be able to play the same build that they just made that they enjoy playing now is insane. I assume that this update is going to be rolled back in some way, because if it's not, a pretty sizable amount of the player base is just not going to play. They literally cannot play the same way they played before for basically no reason. I don't know a soul that was like, yeah, this update, it goes hard. Right, and then a buff to end it all. True Grit, heal increased to 10 from 8, so you're getting 2 extra healing. That's a good thing. Thank you. That's what you should have done for everything instead of nerfing everything. And this is one that I wish I could show gameplay for, and I kind of can, like you can see it, but it's not the same as if when you play. So you would think by reading this, quick player input movements are now smoother, that by moving around, when you're turning, when you're jumping around, when you're making tight angles, that it would be smoother by this wording and therefore feel better. No. When you get in game, there is now locomotion. So when you start running, you're not at full speed until you've been running for a second. On top of that, when you stop or when you turn around, it's not like if you turn 180, you turn 180. It's like you turn 185. You're floaty. You're like on ice on your, it's not fun. Who changed that? Who asked for less precise movement and then worded it in a way that makes it seem like it's more precise or better overall? Because it's absolutely not. I don't understand. One other good thing. Players who are grabbed by the Crusher are now immune to friendly fire damage while being grabbed and 1.5 seconds after being released. Basically, the way it works is, especially when you're with randoms, they would shoot straight through you and kill the Crusher, but also down you. Now that is the thing that will not happen. Thank God. On top of that, they removed pipe bombs from Mom and Karlee bot loadouts. So when you're in a game that doesn't have players, but your campaign is open, if you were to go down and then you need to get everything off of you and you had a Mom or a Karlee, they come with pipe bombs so you could get yourself up and continue playing the game. That's now not a thing for whatever reason. They didn't take grenades away from any other characters, just Mom and Karlee. I assume it's entirely because they have pipe bombs, but what difference does it make? It's literally PvE. Who cares? All right, and then this is the other part that I was talking about earlier that people are really upset about. So Ridden updates, and specifically here the Breaker. All of these things are a straight buff to the Breaker. They reduced his melee recovery, his leap recovery, his leap cooldown recovery, reduced the bonus damage for his chest and his leg weak points from 1,000 to 500, so half. Reduced the taunt and horde summon animation by 0.5. Reduced the swarm cloud shrink to 75 seconds from 90. Breaker leap speed reduced to 1,500 from 2,000. The horde call, half. You have a minute to kill the Breaker before it calls a horde instead of 2 minutes like it was before. And then the weak point damage is half. It used to do 2,000. Now it does 1,000. I will agree that the Breaker probably needed some buffs because it was super easy to cheese just to get it around a car and then it would be in its own animation forever. It was a joke of a boss. But if you fight it now, oh my God, more power to you. It is nuts. It's insane how much stronger it is. It's so annoying to fight now. It really, really is night and day. They overtuned the hell out of this thing. And then the next point, I've never heard a person say, outside of the first time they ran into it, man, I really love fighting the ogre. I love when it shows up. It's a lot of fun. I love fighting and kiting for 6 minutes. It's great. I love wasting all that ammo. This first one, not a soul will notice. Increased its health to 17,000 from 16,500, 500 extra HP. No one will care. This one though, oh, you'll know. Chest weak spot extra damage reduced to 500 from 2,000. It's taking 1,500 less in the chest. Arguably the biggest weak point outside of the one on its back. Literally, who asked? Then the next point, you know when a Reeker's running straight at you and you're like, man, I can't wait to stagger this thing so that it doesn't immediately delete half of my health bar. Well, guess what? You can't do that anymore. You better jump, retard. If you couldn't see, movement speed no longer slows them. And this also carries over to PvP. So for the 7 people that play Swarm, good luck, brothers. Good luck. All right, and then we're finally on to Swarm PvP updates. So the Bruiser's Frenzy ability can now be canceled. Thank God. If you hit, you do a ton of damage. If you don't, you're dead instantly because you couldn't get out of your animation. Now you can. There's some new cards. We get Adrenaline Fueled and Meth Head. Cool, but they nerfed, melee, so it doesn't really matter. Breakout, we also now have Face Your Fears, and then we have Ignore the Pain, which is different in Swarm than it is in Campaign. In Campaign, it gives you the health instead of temp. In Swarm, it now increases melee damage against mutations, which is good in Swarm because the other team is only mutations. But why is this changed in Swarm without any note at all? Why did they make it different? Is it not good in Swarm like it is in Campaign? I don't understand. Then just real quick, I'm going to run through some of these. The Cleaner team now gets a handicap bonus of 10% per left player, so if all your team is gone, you do 30% more damage. You aim down sight 25% faster, and you swap weapons 25% faster. Those are all good things. The Ridden, the Swarm radius, and the transition both are shorter and take less time, which is probably a good thing because Swarm is pretty easy as the Cleaners. The Crusher has increased health from 675 to 700, which is probably a good thing. It was the weakest tall boy variant by far. The damn son of a dirty stinky Hawker has its health reduced from 90 to 80 in damage. Woo. The Harpoon ability cannot be used while in the air. That is huge. Absolutely amazing. The amount of people that sit on top of roofs and then jump and shoot just a head glitch over the roof where you can't get to as the Cleaners. Thank God that's a thing. They've reduced the attack speed and the evolution cost and all that as well. Good changes overall, I think. I really think that the Reeker needed to just basically ignore the slowdown. I don't think that's very smart. And then Tallboy got nerfed other than the attack knockback speed. So his health is decreased. Overhead melee swing is decreased and the offense damage is decreased. I think that was fair because the tall boy was clearly the best like special to play. He did the most damage. He had the most win percentage. I think that's a fair change overall. All three of these probably deserve the change. Another good piece of news, there's very few and far between. Secondary weapons no longer require a reload in the next safe room, so you won't spawn into the safe room with 0 in your secondary for some unknown reason. I don't know if anyone's played Hunt Showdown, but they had that problem, still have that problem. I don't understand why you go into games when your gun isn't full. Same when I personally reload the gun, complete the level, and then start the next one in the safe room and it's empty. Like, who in their right mind, like Walker or whatever, is just like kicking the bullets out of his magazine just to be a dickhead? Like, why? Thank God that's fixed. It's not even a huge issue, but it's annoying. So thank God it's fixed. You did one thing right. So on top of all the melee changes to the cards earlier, your movement speed with the bat, your movement speed with the axe, and the movement speed with the machete is all increased. But bats have to do 50% more damage to stumble ridden, and I'll come back to that in a second. The axe damage is reduced, the stumble damage is reduced, damage on the hatchet and stumble damage on the hatchet are both reduced. Why? Who asked for that? It's not a fun change. It doesn't make the game more fun. It makes the game harder and less diverse. Your melee build that was good is now much worse for basically no reason. So the point here, bats must do 50% more damage to stumble ridden. They changed the way stumble works, and it's based on the scale of their health. So things that have a huge health pool are much harder to stumble even if you're doing more damage. So effectively what this means is you need to increase the damage in your deck, which they just nerfed, and then you also need to be doing a 50% more just to be able to stumble them with the bat. So this is just for the bat. Who knows why they chose just the bat instead of any other melee? The bat has to do 50% more to even get the ability to stumble. I messed around with melee a lot, changing the order of cards around. Later on in the runs, it doesn't really make a difference. You're still probably, you'll feel as strong now as you did then. The only difference is at the start of a run, even changing cards around, I haven't found an order to like basically guarantee the stumbles on specials, and that's the main issue. The commons still aren't an issue. The common and infected are not an issue for melee. The specials now are. All boys, reekers, all that stuff before you could stumble and basically keep it stun locked forever so that your team could kill it. Now it's not a guarantee. You can do it every once in a while, and later on you can do it every other hit. Like, it's basically still a guaranteed as fast as you swing later on in the run. But at the start, I haven't found a way personally to do it. A lot of other people are still complaining about it. There's probably a way to do it currently. I don't know. Again, why change all this stuff? Who asked for the melee change? I don't understand why they focus so hard on melee. I've never heard anyone complain about melee being too strong in a PvE game. It's just a fun build to run around with. No one cares. All right, another thing that this isn't in the game currently, and they actually changed the UI to reflect this as well. Solo campaign is now training, and they've also changed basically the way this works. Solo decks, training decks, start, continue, run, to play and continue online. So they're keeping training mode the way it is as a training mode where you have all the cards unlocked. Nothing is, you don't lose anything for going down. You don't make anything for winning. It's basically just to test builds and mess around, which is fine. I understand that. But why is there not a solo mode with progression currently? I understand that's in the roadmap for December. It's coming to the game, but the amount of people that have complained about this specific issue is enough to warrant that I would have thought that this one would have been in this update. I would have thought solo progression would be in this update because it's important to a lot of people, but it's not. I don't really understand why, like what difference it makes, because it's always online. If they're worried about like people, cheesing the game, there is anti-cheat. If you open things like Cheat Engine or like a trainer or something while you're online, it will automatically detect it and ban you. I don't think that was the reason. I don't know what the reasoning is because they haven't been very transparent with what reasons they're doing what for. Another fun thing, and by fun I mean not fun, is heavy hitter effects now apply properly when you kill Ridden. So basically what this means is if you have a healing card, like a temp healing card, or like the newly changed Ignore the Pain that restores health now instead of temp health, it's going to actually activate on melee. So you can use your fist, you can use your knife, whatever. In this case, most people were using their fist, and that's what they were asking for. I had a build already made that I was going to post a video on. I was going to make a video on, and I might still do it, but the build before was actually useful. You could legitimately make use out of the build running around with just your fists. Now you can't one-shot common anymore. You can't permanently stun lock specials with it. It's not as good of a card as it was. So all the people that switched over to this over the combat knife, which is absolute dog, are now going to go back to the combat knife because they have butchered this card, even though they make it seem like they made it better because now it actually procs with the effect it was supposed to have originally. I don't know why this was changed. I get that this card was very, very broken. Like, it was clearly one of the best cards in the game to make make Melee better, but it's fun. It's just a fun card, and it's PvE. Who cares? All right, and then this is the one that I wanted the most. This is the one I talked about in the Trello part. This is what I was looking forward to the most. Fixed some issues related to the special spawning. I assumed, like everyone else, that they were going to fix the amount of specials that were spawning because there was too many. Like, corruption cards were making them spawn twice. Hordes were making them spawn twice. They would spawn right on top of you. If you raided a horde that was, if you triggered birds and then you triggered a car alarm and then you opened a door that was alarmed, you would get 3 different hordes and then 3 different forms of specials all at once, which apparently isn't supposed to happen. They said they fixed it, and it's so much worse now. Before, specials would spawn way away from you and then you would hear them and they would climb into the map over unplayable areas that we can't go. Now they're already pre-spawned into the game, and then on top of that they'll spawn right behind you now. I don't know how they possibly made this worse. Think about the way you played before. Think about how many specials there were, and then when you play in this update, tell me that it's not worse. Like I said, I've been playing since like right now it's 12:40. Right now it's 12:40. I've been playing, testing stuff around since like 3 p.m. my time. I can tell you for a fact that it is not changed in a positive way. It is changed in a negative way. I do not understand how they went through 2 phases of testing for this and still f***ed it up. Doesn't make any sense. They fixed achievements and accomplishments not unlocking if you're dead at the end of the mission. This is awesome for people that are going through Nightmare or already have gone through Nightmare. Basically, if you were dead at the end, you didn't get the achievement, you wouldn't get your SWAT gear, any of that. Now you will. I assume this retroactively unlocks the things that should have been unlocked earlier because it's based on the team. If the team lives, all of you get rewarded. If the team dies, none of you get rewarded. It's great that they fixed that, but 0.8, 0.4, something like that % of people that have actually completed Nightmare, so this doesn't matter that much. It's good that it was fixed. This is something that could have waited till later. Fixed friendly fire from removing Jim's passive. Thank God. I'm a Jim main. I have my passive up all the time because the amount of damage you get from it is insane, and the amount of times that I have lost my passive because I got team fired is so high. Thank God this is fixed. Bless you, Turtle Rock. Bless you. And fixed a bug where all trauma damage was blocked as long as you had 1 temp health. So this is a bug that I had personally seen. I've seen other people that were playing Melee that had this bug. It was a fun bug to have because then you just ignored trauma. I understand why this one was fixed. I'm not mad about it. I assume most people aren't mad about it. Problem that I am mad about, and a lot of people are mad about, one of the things that is not in this patch note is temp health now on Nightmare is effectively the same. Common, Ridden especially, and it also carries to specials, are basically doing extra tier of damage. They're doing their normal tier of damage, but they're also doing trauma damage now, which is just making Nightmare even more hard than it already was. And they don't say that. That was like a phantom nerf up to the common, whatever. And they don't say that in the patch notes. No one knows until they played the game and saw it for themselves. It's way harder on Nightmare. Take damage in Nightmare, you're going to take so much more trauma than you did before for basically no reason. And then the last thing I want to end on is one thing again. Let me just show you. You search for Buckshot. It's not in there. It actually was changed though, but not the card itself. So me and like everyone else thought that it was per pellet. We figured that out through testing. Per pellet was giving you 0.25 HP. If you killed something with it, you would basically only get 1 because it only registers the one that kills it. So if you're shooting common, you're basically only getting 0.25 HP no matter if you hit all your pellets or not because it's dead. It works on specials, on bosses, stuff like that because you're not killing it in a single shot. And we thought that that was not working correctly, that it was supposed to be giving you more HP like online with Melee cards that are getting 3 and 4 per kill. No. They changed the wording. And I'll put it somewhere on screen so you guys can see it while I'm talking about it. They changed the wording of the card to represent how it actually worked, which is a good thing. That's awesome that you changed it. But no one liked the card in its current state. It wasn't worth running. Everyone was only using it as like a placeholder because they thought it was going to be better, me included. And now there's no point basically to have it in your shotgun decks. Basically, it's a wasted card at this point. You might as well take it out and change it for something else. So, I mean, overall, I was excited for this. I really like Back 4 Blood. I enjoy content that comes from the game, and I'm glad that they have this list here for us to look through. 1, why is not all the changes in the patch notes? 2, why are you changing things that no one asked you to change to make the game harder or less fun? And 3, why is it that the things that people actively want, like builds to be better or cards to be changed or things to be added, like progression offline, is pushed back in terms of like the development cycle instead of being this update? I mean, I'm kind of conflicted. Like I really enjoy Back 4 Blood. I enjoy the game. I am not a fan of this update. I'm not a fan of things being on the Trello board, going through multiple test phases, and me thinking when they come to the live game, like I assume most people do, that it's going to be fixed, and it's actually worse than when it started. You guys actually made special spawns worse than before you did whatever you did to them. And then there's other things like there's vote to kick is coming to the game, and people are really worried about that being abused. confused. I've read through the majority of the patch notes with you guys. I'm excited for Back 4 Blood's future, but this update does not make me excited. It makes me the opposite. Like I'm kind of worried about the game possibly going to be another Evolve situation where the community clearly says, hey, we want this buffed, or hey, we want this nerfed, or we want this, or we want that. And the majority of the community agrees, and then they change things by their own volition. They don't listen at all, or they break things that didn't need breaking. Like Nightmare is already hard. Less than 1% of the player base has gotten the achievement. They've done like less than 1% on Steam on PC has gotten Nightmare. Like they haven't completed it. You made special spawns even worse than they already were, and that's a huge complaint in the main of the game. A huge part of the community runs melee, and you guys changed that for seemingly no reason. There's a lot of things like that, like things that were changed that shouldn't have been, things that should have been changed that weren't. I really hope that December comes around, or sooner hopefully, that this update is rolled back and the changes with it that no one wanted are gone. You guys can update the game. You can make decisions in the game that people enjoy, like buffs, nerfs that make sense, that the community agrees on, that we asked for. Absolutely go for it. Don't change stuff no one wants. Don't make the game worse overall for basically no reason. So yeah, I'm sorry for rambling. I know this video is going to be way longer than my usual video, so anyone that's watching right now, I really appreciate you guys sticking around. I really appreciate you clicking this. Please leave your feedback below. I really want to know what the rest of the community, and you guys especially, feels about this update, the roadmap, stuff like that. And without further ado, I'm gonna call it. I'll see you guys in the next video.